Hey guys, I am JC the NP. Welcome to another show. Again, as always, answering your questions. If you have any, welcome to leave them in the comments below and or email me if you want to keep it a little more private. I am jcthenp@yahoo.com. That is jcthenp@yahoo.com. Today we're going to talk a little bit about contract bonuses, okay, and contract bonus structure. Now, this is a rather long topic. We're going to try and keep it short and sweet. The number of ways that you can bonus in a contract are innumerable. Essentially, you can't. There's just an inordinate amount of ways that you can bonus out a contract and make it viable. The problem is making sure that your bonus structure is achievable. If your bonus structure is not achievable, there's no reason to even have the bonus structure. Okay? The most popular methods of bonusing right now are RVUs and per profit and per patient. Okay? And essentially, they all equate to the same thing mathematically. RVUs are, as we know, relative value units, and it is a value placed on time per patient. Okay? And that equates to essentially, on average, about $55 per RVU. Okay, the per profit model generally shows a 60-40 split. That's your average profit model. Okay, your per patient is a value added per patient overseeing X number of patients. Essentially, the same model, it's a different way of calculating. Okay, and these are the most popular ones right now. However, they're not the only ones. There's lots of other ways that you can bonus out in contracts, and we'll just go over the popular ones for now. RVUs, everybody knows relative value units. It's essentially, we'll stick to family practice on this one because it's the widest and most voluminous field. However, that being said, this equates to whatever field you're in. It doesn't matter. You just need to know the number of RVUs you get per CPT code. Okay. The most popular CPT code in family practice is a 99213, which is 0.97 RVUs, which is about $55. Okay. We do 55 per RVU on average. That's what Medicare reimbursement is. It gives you an idea of what the valuation is per RVU. Okay. Now, RVU bonuses, okay, typically range from 27 to 35 per RVU when you get into bonus structure. If you're not in that range or close to that range, you are being ripped off. Okay. MGMA data on it lists the 14 range. It's significantly wrong. If we go to the per profit model, okay, so percent profit, generally the best percent profit splits are a 60-40 split. Okay, 60 to you, 40 to the business. Okay, now when you look at a per profit split, what you're looking at is after your overhead costs and profit is made. Okay, so for simple math's sake, if you're running a $100,000 a year salary, okay, you have to make your overhead cost as well. The business has to make money. Okay, if the business is not making money, there's no reason they should be profitable. Okay, none. So if you are not making the business money, you should not be receiving a profit margin. Okay, this is the best way to figure that out because RVU kind of hides that value. Okay? The per profit straight up, as soon as you hit your overhead, then you get into your 60% margin. Okay, overhead and profit. Okay, so if you're 100,000, your overhead is 50,000. Overhead includes the building note, if there is one, or the valuation of the building note. Okay, your nursing costs, okay, the cost of your LVN, your MA, the salary of your front office staff, all those things are added up and divided by the number of providers, unless you have one to yourself. For instance, if you work in a multiple provider facility that only has one all of the providers split that receptionist's salary. If you all work in the same area and have multiple receptionists, then you have a larger overhead cost that you have to cover. Does that make sense? And then you have to cover lights, internet, cable, whatever other bills that they all have to be covered. Then you get into the profit the business has to make off of you, and then you get into your profit margin. Okay, so if you're making $100,000 a year and they need to make a 20% profit off of you, 25, let's say 30%. So now you're at $130,000 you have to make before you get into your profit margin. Okay, if they make it, and then you have to add your overhead costs. You have an overhead cost of $50,000 a year, let's say. Okay, now remember, these numbers may not be solid for where you're at or what you're doing. They are rough estimates just so we can understand the math. Okay, salary's $100,000, 30,000 profit off of you. That's $130,000. Then you have $50,000 in overhead. That means you need to make $180,000. You need to generate $180,000 a year before you get into your profit margin. Okay, it does not mean once you hit 100K, you get profit margin. You have to cover the overhead cost of the business, and you have to give them a profit. If the business is not profitable, it will not sustain. Okay, we have to understand basic business principles when we're talking about this stuff. The last method is the per patient method, and this is essentially the same as both of the others. It's just an easier way to calculate. What they do is calculate based off of your salary and overhead cost, how many patients you need to see, and then they give you a bonus per patient over that, and that's a reasonable way to do it as well. It all comes down to me, which is the easiest to keep up with in your particular EMR. If your particular EMR does RVUs and calculates them well, then you can use that. Okay, if it doesn't, then a per patient or a per profit model is generally better, because every business is going to have their profit margins. Now, whether they break it down individually per provider or not is another story. This is getting a little long. If you have any particular questions on this, let me know. We can go into more detail and break these down a little bit better. And as always, I'm here to answer any questions as honestly and truthfully as I can. Yell at me, jcthenp@yahoo.com. If you have any more questions, I'm happy to answer them.